Alright, we're going to make sure the sound works first here today before we start this. So if you can give me a minute. Once I'm positive the sound's working, we shall begin. This is actually the second attempt. First attempt, I guess you couldn't really hear me. It was all garbled. Alright, looks like we are good to go. So, if something goes wrong and you're watching, please type it into chat. I do have the chat window open now. I didn't before. I wish I would have. So, my name's Josh. This is Golden Tee. I'm going to teach you the basics from the beginning, absolute beginning, the most basic stuff you need to know about this game, including like right now, how to use the trackball, what the different spin types do, how to play the wind a little bit. This video is going to be a real basic 18-hole round on Agave Ranch in casual mode, in case I want to use a mulligan to show a different shot type. Basically, we're going to play through around 18 holes, and I'm going to explain stuff while we're playing. This is designed for the very beginner players, the guys that casually play this game, have maybe played 5-10 games in their life, 50 games, under 100 games. Majority of you watching this video probably know a lot of this stuff. It'll be remedial, but you might learn some stuff anyway. I will try and cover as much as I can, and then I'm going to make some videos that are going to go a little bit more into depth and more into detail. The harder stuff, A1s, C3s, chipping, a little bit more advanced shot selection, stuff like that. I'll do that next. So for now, I just want to start with the basics, the stuff that you really need to know. So I'm going to start with hitting the options button, and I'm going to change the equipment that this golfer is using, because equipment is very important in this game. So you have your standard balls, standard clubs. I'm going to change to the club set that I feel most comfortable with out of the available options, because generally I would, in casual mode, use the World Champion 2019 set, but that is not available on Home Edition. So if you look at the clubs that are in this set, you got a 9.5 driver, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 wood, 3 hybrid, 5 hybrid, 6, 8, 9, gap wedge, and lob wedge. Generally, the set I would play has 2 drivers. It would eliminate the 3 hybrid completely out of the bag, and instead of a 6 iron, I have a 7 hybrid. So, which you'll see in one of the next videos for sure. So let me actually select that club set, the World Champ set 18. I'm going to use the barrage balls. The barrage balls are the balls I am most comfortable with. I did spend many years using these, the streaks. I could play with those just fine also. Also used the hurdles for a long time years ago. So, so we have cats running all through the house. Wonderful. How sweet of them. That was fun. So the barrage is going to be the ball that I am going to use today. I used to use the grabbers for a long time too. Grabbers are a good ball. I just like the barrage. I like the way they play. I feel like they're almost just as far a distance as the streaks, but actually give some backspin. We'll get more into balls later. This is what I'm comfortable with, so that's what we do. If I was approaching this shot right now normally, I would come up to this shot, I would do this, and I would hit as hard as I could an A1 shot using a tee with some roll to get on this green to go for that hole. Because we're talking basics, we're going to worry about pulling the trackball straight back and pushing it straight forward. Because chances are, if you're new to this game, you have no idea how to actually get it there, and it's a little bit more advanced than you need to be. Right now you need to worry about being safe in the fairway and then going for the hole. So I'm going to pull the trackball back and hit it forward, straight as I can. I'm not going to kill it. I'm just going to pull it back and hit it forward. And we'll explain that in a second. So if you notice, The ball went 132 miles an hour. Flew, go about 345. It wasn't a perfectly straight hit. If you looked at that shot meter that comes up on the screen, it caught a little bit. It's no big deal. Big thing is to have a good second shot. It's more important. Don't worry about killing the trackball. You don't have to. You do not have to murder the trackball every time you hit it. One of the biggest mistakes that I see players do, which will lead to this second shot, is I always sincerely register the direction you're pulling it back until it's at the last spot that you pulled it back, essentially. So just a straight pullback is there. You don't have to do this. If you pull back fast like that, chances are you're actually pulling it back left or right, so there's no need for you to do it. So, excuse me 1 second. I need to take care of something. Here. Get out of here. Sorry. The boy brought his dog over and he's scaring the crap out of the cats. The cats are hiding here with me and the dog keeps running in here. Anyway, back to where we were. You can also no pull back. So right now, if you wanted to just hit this ball forward, you do not have to pull back. You can just hit. And what way you push forward is the direction the ball will go. That is the same thing that is considered a thumb shot. So if you hit a thumb shot right now, oh, hi, Molly. Nice of you to come join our live video. Hi. Hey. Get off the golden tee machine. The fun of this house. Anyway, thumb shot, there's no pullback. It's just going to be a straightforward shot. There's a couple different ways to thumb. There is the snap thumbs. There is the push the thumbs through the trackball. Some people take their fingers and they put them underneath and then do both those methods, or do the snap method. It's what's most comfortable for you. A thumb shot is a shot you probably should focus on trying to learn. And the reason you want to learn the thumb shot is because it can allow the ball to go a specific direction and it's a very predictable distance. So, like this shot right here, with a 7-mile-an-hour wind, if I take my normal thumb shot right now, it will fly over that green. It will land about where the yardage marker is, 103. Oop, that's not a pullback. So from here, if I take that thumb shot, I'm going to land right around that 72, 75 yard range, and it's going to roll out to about 80, 82. Because of the wind. So the wind's going to help carry it a little bit. So generally with a thumb shot, if you get a consistent thumb shot that you're comfortable with on how hard you hit it every time at that consistency, you're going to very much so be able to predict the outcome of a lot of your shots. So you're going to know how far your thumb shot goes, you're going to know where it lands, you're going to know what it does with roll. That takes out part of an equation. It takes out the, did I pull it back right? Did I pull it left or right at all? Did I pull it straight? Did I push it forward? You will absolutely get more distance by pulling the ball back and hitting it forward. That's an absolute. By just hitting the forward, you are limited in the distance the ball can go. I can only go so far. So right now, if I took this shot and I hit it as hard as I can forward, without taking a pullback, I probably would not even make it to the pin. I'd probably get about 2/3 of the way there with no pullback whatsoever. If I thumb it absolutely as hard as I can right now, I'd probably make it about halfway between that yardage marker and the red dot. That would be with me thumbing as hard as I'm able to. If I pull it back and hit that, I could probably get that ball off the green, over the green, into the rough, into the dirt there. So that's the thing that happens with distance. So if you overhit, you can overhit. There is no question you can overhit, which is one of the biggest mistakes I see beginning players make. They overhit the trackball, they hit it way too hard. They pull back, they hit it as hard as they can, and they don't need to, especially with a wind behind you. And that'd be like on a shot like this. So if most beginner players would see this and go, okay, I just got to pull it back and hit it. You're going to go over that. You're going to fly over that. You're probably going to be in the rough. Now you're going to have to chip. You're not going to have a putt. We have this big green here in front of you. There's no reason to try and do that. Even if you did this with backspin, the likeliness of you, unless you hit it soft, the likeliness of you landing past that cup and coming back at it is very, very very, very, you know, whatever, a low probability. Let's explain spin. Good point for this. You have 4 different types of spin: backspin, roll, bite, release. Backspin would be if you were using this club and you're trying to land past it and bring the ball back to the hole. Roll. You want to land before it and roll towards it. So I want to take this shot, and seeing that the shot's going to be short, it's going to land on the green though, I want to get it closer to the hole, I'm going to use roll. So both backspin and roll, I'm going to use a gauge number of 10. So let's say that the amount of distance they will take the ball after it lands is a 10, okay? What that means, it doesn't mean yardage, it means just 10. So just figure a roundabout thing. Let's say it's actually 5 yards if they were going. I'm going to use the number 10 to try and simplify this. If you use bite basically does the same thing as backspin. Not as much. Bite generally will just land and kind of stop. So on a shot like this, if I take bite, it's going to land and it's going to roll a little bit out. So it's going to kind of land to stop itself, and then it's going to probably roll out a little bit. It's not actually going to come back. So I generally would try and say, you know, dependent on wind or whatever, bite in a lot of cases to me does half of what backspin would. So it might actually only be a third, but it's a general rule of thumb. Bite's generally not going to come back unless you have a wind in your face or you're going uphill, if the green's uphill. On something like this, bite's really not going to do much. Bite's going to kind of stop the ball from going anywhere once it lands. It's going to kind of keep it close to wherever you land. Then you have release. What release is going to do is release is going to land. It's only going to roll forward a small amount. So it's for, like, if I landed, you know, 5 yards before the hole and I want that ball to kind of go, I don't want it to go real fast at the hole like roll will. That's what release will do. So that's the 5 out of that 10 scale. So it goes that half. It's kind of the in-between. So on this particular shot that we're going to take, we're going to use a lot of stuff I just mentioned. My approach to this is going to be, I'm going to thumb this with roll. I do not expect to go anywhere near the hole. I'm probably going to be short of the hole, but I'm being safe. The ball is not going to roll off the green unless I push it too far to what would be my right. So if I push it too far to my right, like over here, I'm putting the rough, all that into play. If I shoot this shot straight right now, what's going to happen is that ball is going to land to the left of the pin for me. It's going to land more towards the center of the green because of that little bit the wind's taking it. So I don't want to get too much into countering the wind on this video. I will a little bit as we get into the holes where the wind's a little stronger. But for right now, I'm going to take this shot the way I would normally take it, which is going to be to push it just a little bit to the right with a thumb shot and let the roll take it towards the hole. So theoretically right now, this ball should be in the air until about 75-ish yards, and then should roll out to probably about 85. I'm going to think, I mean, I'm probably way off of my numbers, but I'm just going to thumb it the way I would. So that was a good 90-mile-per-hour thumb shot. Landed at about 75, rolled through actually all the way to 93. So, pretty good example of that shot. A real good example of that shot. So that is exactly what you want. Now, putting. I'm a little too close to give you a good putting lesson on this hole. I'll continue on putting as we go. The number one thing I can tell a beginner of Golden Tee on putting is hit this hard. Don't hit soft. Don't pull back really fast. Just, you can either thumb putt, you can pull back putt, you can do whatever you want. Just putt hard. And the reason I tell you to putt hard is as we go, I'll explain it better. The ball won't take the break as much the harder you push the trackball. So this is where you're going to more learn how to hit the ball hard than really where you think you should, which would have been that first tee shot. So we're just going to pull it back. Straightforward. Easy as can be. I have not, well, I did technically play 2 holes earlier, so I am on this leaderboard, but I've never completed an 18-hole round in casual play on this machine, on Agave. So that's the default leaderboard the machine comes with. So now, hole 2. This hole can sometimes be drivable. If you're on one of those front tee boxes, you can absolutely get there in 1. Matter of fact, the last game I played on this, I got there in 1 on no problem. The shot with a long fairway with a lot of room, with not really anything in your way. So this would be your place that you want to practice hitting hard or practice shots you don't know. So if you don't know how to do what is called an A1 shot or a C3 shot, this is a good opportunity. Not a great opportunity, but it's good. I would focus on straight shots first. We'll go over A1 C3s in an entirely different video. We'll take on that subject later, unless we run into a real obvious shot on this course that we need one. So I'm going to bring up one other thing about this game. If you play this game in casual mode, you know that you can press and hold and it incrementally kind of moves you over like this, right? That doesn't exist in the real world. So in real Golden Tee, you only have those. You don't have this. That doesn't exist. So, I don't know where it originally was, but I'll assume it was around there. So, you can't do that incremental movement of the aiming of the player. You have to pick this or this. It's all that exists. There is no moving slightly. So I would highly suggest getting used to not using it right away, because you're not going to be able to use it if you play in any other game mode. If you ever want to play for money, play online, anything, can't use it. So, go back to my point about this is a good opportunity to hit hard. When you pull back, you don't have to pull back hard. We went over that. Just pull back, hit it forward as hard as you can. You don't need to murder the trackball. You can get quite a bit of distance without putting everything you've got into it, without having to jump back here and come running at the trackball. You don't need to do that. No reason to, quite honestly. It's more about the velocity of speed through the ball than it is on the amount of hit you have on the ball. You don't want to hit down on the ball. You want to hit through the ball. So you're more worried about getting as many revolutions going through the ball. If you hit down on the ball, you're kind of making it jump first, so it doesn't register and go. So, we'll just take this drive. So, if anyone's noticed also, I am not using any tees at the moment. We'll get to those in a hole or two. For right now, these are easy holes to learn easy stuff. So, I'm going to hit this my way as hard as I can. I'm just going to hit it straight. So 145 mile an hour hit. If you looked at the shot meter, it was not a straight shot. I did cut that a little bit, but I still got 145 out of it. I missed how many yards it was total. It was like 380 something, if I remember right. It's a pretty good straight drive. You know, landed like 340, 50-ish, rolls out through with roll on it. Pretty straightforward, not much to that. Now, this brings us to a little bit of a wind lesson. We're set up almost perfectly right here. Not necessarily in between clubs per se, but perfect almost for that 6-iron. That 8-iron is going to be short. That 8-iron will get you to the green. It's going to get you into the middle of the green. If you hit this ball straight right now, you'll probably be dead center of the green. And you'll have about a 25-foot putt for birdie. If you hit this shot right now perfectly straight, you'll be a little bit past the pin, but probably only have maybe a 12-foot putt. 15 probably. If you turn one over and hit this straight, you're going to be in the rough. You are not, that wind, that side crosswind is not going to take that over there. It's not going to be anywhere near it. So you need to push this ball a little bit left. So by pushing this ball that little bit left, you can counter the wind. There's two ways to do this. One is a cut shot. Second way is to just fight the wind. You can do that in a straight line. So you can come through the trackball, pulling back, and then pushing through in a straight line. Essentially creating the direction you want to go. Or you can eliminate the pullback and just push through the trackball the direction you want to go. So if you just want to go a little bit, you want to go a little bit to the left, you're going to push just to the left. You can also just thumb it. So this is why, at least to me, thumb shots became a very important tool in this game, because they regulate the distance very well, and a shot like this, it's going to be perfect. And if you push it just that little bit left, I can counter that wind no problem. You know, I can counter that wind with a thumb shot, no problem, and it'll cut that little bit of extra distance off because I am shooting the ball into the wind. So by shooting it into that 5-mile-an-hour wind sideways, I'm actually probably going to cut a good 5 to 8 yards off the shot, and I'm probably going to be real close to right on by where that pin is. If I don't put any spin on it at all, I would land by it and I'd roll past it, probably be, you know, 10, 12, 14 feet for birdie. If I put bite on this, the ball will kind of stop and kind of stay over right around where the pin is. If I put backspin on it, I'm going to come back towards me. It would give me the best chance of trying to put the shot in the hole, most likely. And that's not what I'm actually trying to do right now. The next part would be if you try to use roll or release. If you use roll, you're probably going to roll through. If you take this shot as a pushed thumb shot or right at the center of the green, you'll probably go all the way through the green. If you take it with release, same thing, it's probably about half that distance. So right now, backspin or bite would be your choice. Or you could just shoot this with nothing, and you'd still be very safe. So I'm going to do this with bite. And I'm going to do a thumb shot and just push it a little bit to the left. The amount on the left to right with wind on thumb shots, that'll be a separate lesson. So if you notice on the meter, pushed it a little bit to the left. With the bite, it kind of slows down and stops. Near the pin. Okay. 10-footer. Up one, left one. So your green slope meter over here is telling you that this ball is going to turn to the left a little bit, and I'm going uphill a little bit. Left one is nothing in Golden Tee unless we start talking 60, 70, 80, 100 feet. 40 feet might start being your first point where you really got to start thinking about it. Left one isn't going to go anywhere. If you hit this straight back, straight forward, you are going to make this putt, you know, all the time. You're not going to miss this putt. If you play that 1-degree break and push this ball to the right just a little bit, you run a probability of missing the shot because there's no reason to push it to the right. Dependent on if you thumb or if you pull back or if you just want to just straight push forward on this. The point of firmness in putting is if you putt this soft enough, straight, you could miss this because of that left one. Really hard to putt that soft, but it can be done. There is a way, like, you could actually miss this putt if you putt it too soft. And there's no reason to putt this soft. Generally, Golden Tee doesn't allow you to roll over the hole, so you might as well just jam it in the hole, unless it's downhill. So, for purposes of demonstration, I will putt this one with my thumbs. It's just a straight thumb shot. All right, par 3. So, objective of most par 3s is try and get a hole in one. Unless you're a new player, then you want to be a little bit safer. So this hole's a little bit downhill. And by looking at the green slope on the meter, we already know that the green slope's just a hair to the right once the ball lands. So you want to shoot this to basically either land in line with that pin or a little bit to the left, just a hair to the left, because when it lands, the slope will bring it back over to the right. You have a 6-mile-an-hour wind in your face. And I'm going to give the most basic thing that was said to me, oh, this would have been 19 years ago, about the wind in Golden Tee. I'm not going to use the 5 hybrid as the demonstration for this, though. 6-iron. On this 6-iron, the basic thing that was said to me about wind was that if I took this shot right now, and my good hard thumb shot hit it, that wind will do double what its mile per hour is in distance, meaning that a 6-mile-per-hour wind will take 12 yards off of my shot. So a 6-mile-per-hour wind will take approximately 12 yards off the shot, meaning that 156 landing club I see right in front of me would now be landing at 144 yards. So it'd actually be landing, you know, that's 130. So probably landing at the front edge of the green there. So it would be short if I just did a straight thumb shot with that. Generally, that's why you would club up. So you would club up on this because now you take 12 yards off of this. This being a 5 hybrid's a little bit special. It'll cut through that wind a little bit better. Probably only going to affect it by about 8 yards. But it's still going to take a little bit off the distance. So you could also take the 6-iron, okay, and hit it hard. So you could pull this back and hit it harder, and now you can overcome that wind. No problem. You'll still get it to the hole there, but you're gonna have to hit it a lot harder. You're gonna have to hit this like you'd hit a good drive. Now you don't have to murder it, it's only a 6-mile-an-hour wind, but it is possible to get there by overhitting this club. Ideally, you would take this club. So most people aren't actually going to probably have a 5 hybrid in their bag. For me, on this shot, I look at this a little bit differently. I look at this a little bit more advanced. So something we haven't got into yet is tees. So there's something called golden tees. You press the start button, you can move the trackball, and you have this spot where you can move your tee shot all around this box. Okay? This is the original placement of it. So with that 5 hybrid, if I take this tee and I just go straight back with it, it's about there. I've now taken a couple yards of that distance off. So I've now, now I'm down to, instead of being 160 to the pin, I'm actually probably now like 163 or 4 to the pin. It's actually, a little bit further of a shot. But I took the distance off that 5 hybrid. So now that 5 hybrid into that wind has a higher probability of landing on the green and going right at that hole and not going past off into the rough. It has a higher probability of staying on the green. If I take the 6-iron and I take this tee and I switch the tee type from a medium tee to a high tee, the ball's going to go higher in the air, but it's also going to travel farther. So I wouldn't have to murder this 6-iron. I could just thumb a 6-iron high tee to negate, to gain a little bit of distance. Then you also have something called the low tee. So low tee, I'm going to set up how I'm going to shoot it so that I can just switch tees to explain the next part. So high tee, low tee, medium tee. Medium tee is what you normally shoot off the tee box. It's the normal height of the club. High tee is going to make the ball go higher in the air, but you lose spin. Ball won't backspin, won't roll. It takes a large amount of the spin off the ball, so you don't have as much control when it lands. It goes a lot higher, so you can get over stuff, or the ball, you know what I mean? It allows more distance. So if you really needed to gain distance here, you would use a high tee. In this scenario, you would only be using a high tee if we were trying to take this 6-iron shot at it. We would use a high tee. Okay. With the 5-iron, you could use a low tee. So what a low tee is going to do is it's going to take a little bit of that wind off, but the ball is going to stay lower and it's going to land sooner. The only advantage there is if I'm trying to keep this ball as straight as possible, that wind isn't going to affect it as much left or right either, or distance-wise. So I could take this shot, the ball's going to land sooner, it's going to roll further because of that low tee. Generally more effective and hopefully we'll run into a shot where I can show you the more effectiveness of a low tee. It's almost something you have to learn. It's almost something you have to play a little bit. For beginners, medium's probably the place you're going to be majority of the time, unless you're really trying to get over stuff. I'm going to take this shot as a straight thumb shot with bite, with no tee, because I should essentially land before the pin. Bite should slow the ball down and roll it towards the pin. I'm most likely, by looking at the distance here, probably going to be a hair past the hole when all's said and done. But this is also trying to give me a shot at getting a hole-in-one right here. That wind coming a little bit to the left. Remember earlier I said this green slopes to the right, so I kind of want that to push it a little bit to the left, so when the ball lands, it kind of comes back to the right. So the green's going to bring it back to the right once it lands. The wind right now is going to bring it that little bit to the left of the hole to hopefully, a straight thumb shot should be right at this. So, ball went a little shorter than I expected it to. I could have actually left the tee where it was, and I moved back in the tee. If I went to move back in the tee, the ball would have went closer to the hole. But that's fine. I got to show you all different types of shots anyway. So, down 1, right 2. Ball's going downhill. You don't got to really worry much about that, but it's a right 2. So, theoretically in your head, you're thinking, wow, I got to push that left to to counter that right two. Not at 9 feet, you don't. At 9 feet, you pull it back and hit it hard, straight forward, as hard as you can, and it will not take the break of the green, especially at this distance. So that I'll hammer that thought into your heads, because it's the number two thing I see wrong with most beginner players when I try to teach them this game, or when I just observe them play. Putting is easier than you think it is when you're close. And most people think they need to hit soft, like it's gonna roll out of the cup. It's really not. Well, when we get to a scenario where it potentially could, we'll explain that then. So for now, you just want straight back, straight forward, right in the hole. Okay. This is a drivable par 4. So, see, we have a 9-mile-an-hour wind in our face. Club up here. 3-wood is on about perfect to the right distance of this, and then we have a driver. Generally, in the club set that I play, I have another driver. I have 2 drivers. So, to me, this shot generally would be taken with the other driver. It would be taken with what's the 10.5 driver, with backspin. For a lot of years, we didn't play with 2 drivers, so most of us would probably take this and hit this ball hard. So we would take this this 3-wood into that 9 mile per hour with some backspin, and we would hit this pretty hard, so that we could get the distance past 285 to land, and then bring the backspin back up to this hole. Because this green is also downhill. It's not a lot downhill in casual mode, but when you play this in regular, it's a lot more downhill. Bite works, but bite's not going to come back up the hill. You need backspin. So, if you want to get close to this hole, you got to use backspin. As you can see on the actual lineups that you would get, this is not a straight shot. If I shoot this straight, I'm going to be off to the right, off the green, in the rough. You have to shoot this shot to the left. Now, as a beginner way to shoot this shot, I would probably go with the recommendation of doing the straight line method. So you can visualize, if you look at the screen and look at where the pin is, and that's where you want the ball to end up. But I have a wind that's kind of pushing it also to the right. So you need to kind of go even further. So I want to shoot that ball. It's a little bit hard to explain this without being able to just point to the screen to show you like I normally would. You want to be in the about halfway point of this lineup and this lineup. You're trying to aim more towards the dead center of that green is actually your aiming point. Now, if you feel more better at pushing this ball to the right, you can very much still get there with this setup. But you're going to probably have to hit that ball a little bit harder, or you're going to want to take this driver. And then you're going to be pulling probably through here to get it halfway over. You're going to be shooting more through this line to get that back over to the center. Whereas if you take this, you're not going to be shooting nearly as far sideways. You're going to be shooting, through here to get this more over to where the hole is. The driver is probably the better shot for a beginner player. A few reasons why. That 9 mile per hour wind, even if I thumb this, I'm probably still going to go 300-ish yards to that. If I hit that with purpose to hit it. If you take this shot, you put a lot into play. You're putting all of this rough down here. You're putting that into play if you don't hit it hard enough, especially if you don't hit it straight hard enough. So the safer shot, even though the ball may be a little bit long, is actually this, because you're taking all the bad stuff out of play. And if you look past this screen, if we push that ball left or whatever, the worst case scenario is we're in that little bunker right there, which isn't that big a deal. We have there's clubs to get you out of that bunker safely. So I'm going to do a pullback shot on this, and just explain what I meant by trying to do a straight line. So if you watch the shot meter when this comes up, I'm probably going to hit this in the 110 to 120 range for speed, and watch the line. So I pulled back to the right of center. I pushed to the left, the center. Kind of went where I said I was going to go, middle of the green. And now we have a nice long putt. So here comes back to the discussion of putting hard. At 59 feet, left 2 absolutely comes into play. you have to push this trackball right. You have to push it a little bit to the right. You have to push it a little bit harder also because you are going uphill. So this is where your practicing of putting comes in. Once you've gotten used to hitting the trackball hard, now you're incrementally going left and right to play the slope. So on this, notice when I aim one to the right, it says it's left one. That says left two, and that says left two. So that means it probably really is a left two. So that means if you hit this straight right now, you are going to miss that ball to the left. The trackball, if I hit this perfectly straight, that trackball by the time it gets to that hole is going, or the golf ball is going to be to the left of the hole. If I push this a little bit right to counter that, I should go right in the hole, theoretically. It is also up 3, so you do have to hit it a little harder. People that thumb putt probably are going to be a little bit more accurate on this. I personally have always been a pullback putter. I've always felt them more accurate by getting a pullback and pushing forward. I only thumb certain putts, generally when they're flat and no break, no left or right, and long distance, like 70, 80 feet, because I'm way more accurate with my thumbs at that point. If I really need a ball to get there, like 100, 110, I'll pull back and then thumb it straight. But that generally only comes into play in a couple of the hole ones that are kind of drivable, and then you're left with hole in putts. I'm just going to putt this my normal way. Pay attention to where the shot meter comes up. It's only going to be up for a second or two on what direction I push this ball. It's not a lot right that I'm going to push this. I'm just going to push this a little bit right, and then I'm going to push it hard. And I pushed it too far right. So we're playing stroke play. We're going to take a mulligan. And now we're going to thumb it. So I want to thumb this just a little bit to the right. Notice that time I made it. So, 2 different ways to putt that. Obviously, you saw me miss the first attempt. Made the second one. And I'm not really that good of a thumb putter, to be quite honest. I really don't have the left and right on thumb putting. I actually don't have it. It isn't built in up here. I've never, crap, I didn't want to do that. I've never really learned it. So, seemingly normal par 4. If you want to play safe, you could shoot that across there. You could be over here, be safe, or you can go for this hole. But you got some stuff you got to shoot over. Come on. Big cactus sticking up there. A driver really, you know, it can get over that, but not really. So we're going a little bit more advanced for this shot. We're going to move the tee all the way to the left. Because now we've moved, back up a step. We have a 7-mile-an-hour wind. That 7-mile-an-hour wind is going to push that ball to the left. So if I shoot this shot here, that ball is going over in that fairway on the left. If I shoot this shot here, 7 isn't enough to push it all the way over to that hole. If it was with these clubs, if we were using like a 7-iron, you know, 9-iron, something like that, yeah, we could probably get that over to the green. 3-wood. We need to make sure we get over that stuff. I don't want to hit that cactus. So if you notice that cactus above us is almost straight in front of us. So I'm going to push the ball a little bit to the left to be to the left side of that cactus. But I want to make sure I have the height to get there too. So I'm going to move the tee all the way to the left. I'm going to use a high tee this time. By using a high tee, I'm going to make sure I get over these other cactuses, those 3 smaller cactuses right in front of me. And it's going to get over that hill. And by being aimed at like I am right now, even if I hit this ball straight, that 7-mile-an-hour wind with that high tee is going to help push that ball over to the left a little more so it lands on the green. Ideally, I want to push this a little bit to the left to help it that way. I want to help the ball go that direction. So, notice that I'm real short on distance here. So, it's 316 yards to the pin. If I take this, that is probably the correct distance-wise club. I don't trust getting over those cactuses. If I had a 10.5 driver, I would. On a 9.5, I don't. But the 3-wood will go over for sure. That means I have to hit the 3-wood a little harder. I could hit a 4-wood. Just got to hit it a little harder yet. I could also hit a 5-wood. Right there is probably about the extent of distance that you could probably cover and still theoretically make it to the hole. If I take this right now and I hit this hard, I could probably get real close to the hole. I'm going to use a 3-wood for our purposes. One other thing about using tees. So high tee gets a little bit extra height. If you put spin on the ball, you can get incrementally higher also, meaning it's just a hair higher if I put backspin on this ball. If I put roll on this ball, that track ball is going to stay lower. If I put, release or bite on it, track ball is going to stay the normal height. It's minor. I mean, we're talking not even a yard of difference of height. But for my purposes, I'm going to hit this with backspin because backspin's really not going to spin. It's just going to slow the ball down a little bit once it gets there. Plus, we're going to get that little bit of added height. So I'm going to push this a little bit hard to the left to try and get it there, okay? So it worked pretty good, pretty perfect. We have a down 3, right 2. Pretty straightforward putt, 7 feet. I mean, literally you hit this hard straight. That simple, pull it back, whatever. On that last shot, if you notice, I hit that about 123. I actually pulled the trackball straight and I pushed it a hair left. It worked in that instance. It's hard to explain. I don't know how to explain that easily, so that'll be in one of the more advanced videos. I'm trying to keep this video straightforward, the basics. This is about as good a look as you're going to get to explain a shot on a par 3. So, generally, every club in Golden Tee has its own characteristics in the way it works. We have a club in this set that doesn't necessarily do the exact yardage it says it does. You have to learn the yardage of this club. This club is an extremely useful club on a lot of courses, the 6-wood. The problem with the 6-wood is its distance is not perfected like other clubs. So this 5-wood, I can accurately predict if I thumb this, I know right where that 5-wood's going to land. I know where it's going to go. Matter of fact, from where we're sitting, if I thumb this 5-wood, I'm probably landing at about 245 with it, 245, 250, and it's going to backspin back. It's going to take a little distance on it. Probably, I'll say closer to 250. I probably land probably 250-ish, and then I could put backspin and I'll come back up the hill. But it's not going to come back up to 237. If I take this 6-wood with backspin, I may not actually make it to the pin. I will probably land short of the pin. So I probably won't even get the 245 out of it, or even get to 237. I'll probably get to like 230-ish. I want to say 230. Well, when going out, I make it to 235. So this club plays a little short, is what I'm getting at. So there is clubs that are not going to do exactly what they say on the screen. There's a handful of them. 9-wood comes to mind right off the bat. 9-wood is very, very bad at that. It's a club that's extremely handy in certain circumstances, though. So you got it. It's once you learn it, that's for you. We'll get more to clubs in a different video. I'm going to cover club selection across the board. Matter of fact, I will probably make a video of each course and kind of make a run through of each of the 2019 courses, all 7 of them, and with what the clubs I use are and why I use them, and I'll also explain why other people use other clubs on those courses. So, for this purpose for today, just to show the 6-wood, or not necessarily the 6-wood, this is an ideal lineup. If we were shooting a 5-wood or a 3-wood right now, this is the perfect, you want to shoot this ball virtually straight with backspin, just thumb it straight forward as hard as you can, or just pull back in a nice soft shot. A straightforward, no pullback shot goes about the same as a standard just pullback straightforward. Nice smooth pullback straightforward shot. You can get the same distance out of it. The pullback will gain you a little bit of height. If you hit it harder, you can definitely get more distance. On a straight, just no pullback shot, the advantage of it is you're taking the pullback out. So you're taking out the cutting once again. So green's left 2. So I'm going to basically thumb this virtually straight, backspin to try and put it in the hole. Once again, down 3, pull back, hit forward. I should mention something else because I just noticed something that just happened there. On putting, when you pull back, it doesn't matter what direction you pull back. The pullback doesn't matter on a putt at all. You can pull straight A, straight C. You can do whatever you want on a pullback. It's what direction you push it forward only. We'll go over that in a little bit. Go over that in a little bit more detail at a different point for some other for a different lesson, but for the knowledge that you need, pulling back on a putt does not affect a putt whatsoever 95% of the time. There's an exception to it. That's why I say 95%. So for beginners, the only time you need to know, the only thing you need to know really about putting, about pullback, is don't worry about it. You can accidentally pull any direction you want and it doesn't matter. This hole is probably a good teaching hole too, because there's probably some people here that don't even know how to get on this par 5 and 2. There's multiple tee boxes now. So with having the multiple tee boxes, there's multiple different places you can lay up. You could take this shot straight forward, hit as hard as you could with a high tee with backspin, land between these two canyons, then it'll be in the dirt, then you have a pretty good shot at that green. If you're on some of the other tee boxes, there's this peninsula out here straight forward that you would shoot for, or you would actually shoot for the one that's straight forward right now. So the one way out there by the water, you might be there, depending on if you have one of the other tee boxes to the left. So then you could just shoot there. It makes this hole easier. Or you could go where we've also been going for a long time, which is over here. So I'm going to put the cursor right on it. Right where that cursor is, there is a valley between those hills. You can see it right here. So there's a valley there, so you can get your ball there. So if you land down in this grass and you take a 3-wood or a driver, you can shoot it up through there and still make it to the green. You don't want to be too far into this. If you're where this cursor is right now, you're not going to get there. You want to kind of be more back here. Especially with the wind behind you, the ball's going to kind of land and go forward. So I'm going to backspin on it, try and keep it back further. Just going to thumb that straight forward. Actually, I'm going to hit quick shots. You see what quick shot does, which I prefer a quick shot. I normally play with quick shot on. So it's kind of weird for me to not be using it. The shot is about as self-explanatory as it gets. There is a bunker. You got to deal with it over here on the left when you get there. Notice this bunker, you got a little bit of a lip on it. You get 11-mile-an-hour wind behind you. That 3-wood is making that no problem. It's actually going to make it all the way to the hole no problem because of that 11-mile-an-hour wind. But that wind is pushing it right, so you need to push the ball to the left. I'm going to say put backspin on it. You're not going to get full backspin off of this surface. It will backspin a little bit, but you will not get the full amount of backspin you would get off of the fairway. I'm using it to stop the ball from rolling through the green, is really what I'm using it for. So for right now, I'm going to take this shot. Pretty much the same shot I took on one of the last holes. And it's just going to come up, bounce up on that green. Now we're on the fringe. Perfect. We need a fringe putt. So fringe putting, you putt from here. You don't chip from here. If this ball was through that, half a yard of actual fringe and in the thicker grass, yeah, then we'll start talking about, oh great, that's nice. I lost the direct lineup. Yeah, it looks straight. Okay. That's why I hate that incremental aiming thing, because it is such a pain, and it doesn't help you really. It hurts you more than helps you. Doesn't really make you learn the game the correct way. This putt, you're going to basically do the same as I always say: hit it hard. You're going to maybe push it 1 degree further because you're on the edge of the fringe. If you work further into the fringe, you'd want to go maybe 1 to 2 degrees. So this is the left 3. You want to play it for like a left 4. You want to still hit it hard. If you push it too far to the right, you're going to miss to the right. If you hit this straight right now, you're definitely missing it left. There is no question there. So you're going to want to basically push the line. Anyway, I'm going to thumb this just to kind of have it clean on the shot meter, the direction forward it's going. So hopefully you saw that on the shot meter. If not, you can always quick rewind this video and look. It's so incrementally left and right. One thing that I generally tell people to learn is you have your ABC, your 1, 2, 3. There's also the word forward swing and the word backswing down here. So you can learn your direction mainly by using the smaller letters in forward swing and backswing. So you can use it for lining up. Um, the only problem with that, because there is a problem with it, is that the old play decks that are red, the letters were different size, so it'll screw with you a little bit. But if you once you play more, you'll learn, what that difference is. So let's look at this next hole here. So this is a pretty straightforward drivable par 4. This will be a good example on wind. There's an 11-mile-an-hour wind in our face. Generally, I would tell you on a straight thumb shot that wind is going to take 22 yards, double what the wind is, off of this ball. So if I take this 5-wood, I essentially am going to land at 236 yards, 238 yards. So just past the hole. We're shooting uphill. We're going to lose a yard or two because we're going up. So we are going uphill on this shot. It's not a lot, but we are going uphill. That 5-wood would probably be short if I just hit that straight. So not a lot short, but it would be in that rough right before the green. Probably, if I didn't put roll on it or whatever, it'd probably land before roll towards. Give me 1 sec. Damn cat felt like she was trapped in my golden tea room. But hopefully that dog's gone. Because they've been fighting the last day. So, 4-wood. It's going to go through the wind a little bit more, soda 3 with soda driver. The higher up you get in clubs, the more they break through the wind. 5-wood's probably the end point of where it plays kind of like the like higher irons do, where they get higher up in the air, so they the wind affects them a little bit more, kind of breaks down the yardage on them. I'm fairly confident that I could shoot a 5-wood at this and be very close to the green, be very close to the hole. If I put backspin on this and I hit it, meaning pull back and hit it, I wouldn't be murdering the ball, but I would be hitting it harder than I normally would. If I wanted to thumb this, I would actually take a 4-wood with backspin. Chances are that 4-wood's actually going to land at about 250, and then it's going to backspin towards the hole. It's not going to back up all the way to get back to the hole. I could get it to come back further if I went back here in the corner of this tee box just to get a little bit of distance. Reality would be newer player. I would, how do I put this? It's this term that's been used in golden tee for 20 plus years. It's called so be safe. What so be safe means is you go for the middle of the green, always. So you trust your putting. You learn putting more first, and you trust your putting. And by being so be safe, at least you're getting on the greens on par 4s, par 3s in one, instead of being down in the sand or being long or not just being on the green at all. Having a putt's always better than having a chip. So the so be safe term comes from a player named Steve Sobey, who played this game and was a multi-time national champion. He was extremely good at cutting the ball. He was extremely good at playing safe. So he knew how to get on this green, 25 different ways, and to make sure he had a relatively easy putt. He was taking all danger out of play. That was the key. I try and tell new players, play like that. Don't think about this as you're going for the hole. Think about this right now as you want to be on the green. You're trying to hit the fat part of the green. So ideally, in this scenario, you could high tee a 6-wood and hit it hard, and you'd probably land perfectly in the green. You could take this 5-wood. I say this 4-wood with backspin is the play, because it's going to give the most green to hit. Even if we're short, let's say I don't thumb this well enough, it's going to have the distance to probably get to that rough that's right before the green, and it may bounce up through. Even if I hit this too hard with my thumbs, I'm never going to go over this green. It's impossible for me to thumb this hard enough to go over the green. And if I pulled back and hit it, sure I could. So it's more of a safety thing. You're playing safe. You're being smart. You're trying to minimize the number of strokes you take, and you're trying to maximize your scoring. So why not just at least be on? So the lineup on this is not straight whatsoever. As you can see, pin is over here to the right. It's not like a full turn there. It's 3/4-ish. If I thumb this straight, it'll land up in the top left of that green. I want to thumb this a little bit to the right because the wind is helping it right. If you push it too far right, you're going to go all the way off the right, off the green. So I just want to push it just a little bit to the right to kind of help that wind. About as much as I just did on that last putt for that left 3. That's about how much I want to push this to the right now. Just a very little bit amount, just, I mean, which equates to going through just to the right of the 2 here. So going through in like the first step, I kind of say that there's, in a way, there's kind of like 10 steps to the between here and here. I want to be at like between 1 and 2 here, going that way. Which in my world, in the way that I read the trackball, equates to like going through the K and back. So I would line my center of my thumbs up on the K and push through, which is about the, you know, whatever, probably more so than 2 over here. So anyway, I'm just going to thumb this, take this, get it on the green, and we'll go from there. So 84 mile an hour. I'm actually short with the 4-wood, and look at that. Wow. That's because I moved the tee all the way to the back. If I would have left a tee to the front, we'd actually be on right now. But this brings us to a good lesson. So do we do this? Yeah, let's do this. All right. Chipping. You're off the green right now. You are in the rough. You could putt this if you really wanted to, but you're probably not going to make it. I believe we're on an edge. Yeah. Oh shit! I just moved that. I hate this incremental turning stuff. Back straight. That looks good enough. I trust my chipping. Beginner chipping. We're going to give you the absolute basics of what you need to know right this second. And there will be a video that will 100% spend 18 holes going over chipping from every which angle, direction, club, selection, etc. If this is my shot normally, I am going to club to something like with this club set, I'd probably use the 6-iron. I would put bite on it, I would pull it back a small amount, I would hit it forward to get off this surface and get it to roll right at that hole. In this scenario, because if you're new to this game, that's a little bit more advanced. That's something you learn a little bit down the road. We're going to stick with the lob wedge. Shortest club in the bag, we're going to shoot the lob wedge. You notice the lob wedge's distance lists at 40 yards. We're 13 yards from the pin. So as the golfer's swing comes back, there's a couple of key points in the swing that can be used to determine a little bit of distance. It's not an absolute by any means, but it helps guide us. Full pullback. That ball, if I hit that at just a normal straightforward thing, is easily going the 40 yards that this club lists, okay? Not accounting for wind right now. I'm only going to talk about the distance of the club itself. So let's say we have a 0 mile per hour wind. So this shot, if I pulled it all the way back like that and I hit it right now, it's going to go 40 yards. If I pull this ball back halfway, so our halfway point is about there, maybe a hair lower, and I take that same thumbs right now, theoretically, about 20 yards, 20 to 25 yards. It goes a little further then. Hi, Gary. I see you're back. Yeah, come and get her. Sorry. Anyway, theoretically 20 yards. That's half pullback. You could have a 3/4 pullback. Somewhere about there, to there-ish, 30 yards. Then we have about the knee-high height. That's about 15 yards. Now that's if you hit with just a normal soft, just a nice smooth forward stroke. Essentially that would be the distance you get. If you were to hit it, you can easily get this to go 20 yards. If you go to that half pullback and hit it, you can get it to go about 30. You're not going to get the full distance out of the club, but you can take distance off by not pulling all the way back. So we're going to use this 1/4 pullback with this club. We do have to play the wind here. The lob wedge gets up in the air, so it will be affected by that 11 mile an hour wind. We don't have to worry about the green because the green does not slope left or right here. It is downhill straight, down 4. But we do have to worry about that wind is going to push this a hair bit to the right. So we do have to push this a little bit to the left. So I'm going to put bite on this so that if it does go too far, it doesn't roll all the way through and go down into the sand. like I said, I normally would not take a lob wedge on this. I'm taking a lob wedge on this for the basics of teaching a short chip. So we're going to go to there. If you notice, I'm pulling back in the direction actually that I want to shoot to. I'm trying to pull a straight line here. So I'm going to there, and then I'm going to push forward nice and soft. And you notice that ball was short. If I would have had bite on that, it probably would have went. So we're going to do that again. Mulligan. So now we're going to take that same shot, window spin. We're going to take that shot right here, like this. Now we're going to go. Quick shot. Ah, still short. So, kind of shows you the chipping. What I mean by chipping. So, if you notice how soft I'm hitting that ball going forward, there's a reason for that, obviously. I don't want to hit it too hard. I don't want to go too far. I'm also just trying to show you how to get distance out of it. Damn it, Gary. Just close that door when you go out.
What is this?
Jason's guitar pedal board. Right?
Alright, have fun with it.
Yep. Alright, now I won't have any dogs or cats or kids bothering me, hopefully. It's all good. I expected some craziness because of it being everyone's day off. So, I'm going to take this way I normally would take it. See if I can get it in. Show you the difference. So on a shot like this, only being 13 yards to the pin, you don't need a lot of pullback. It was virtually a straight shot, straight back, straight forward. Wind is not going to take a chip like that. You notice how it stayed low, basically comes out low and rolls. It's the whole point to the chip shot with those clubs. So I will go into that much further detail elsewhere. Different video, different time. So here we go. First point where I'm going to show you, actually, maybe not. So generally on this hole, you're going to shoot straight through this, try and get over into that fairway. A couple different tee boxes, you're going to be over here by these bunkers, shooting over, or in the fairway over there. You can also shoot this way out there as far as you can, and you'll have a pretty straight shot at the green, which is, I think, what we're going to do for our purposes. Yeah, let's use this shot. So I'll kill two birds with one stone. I was going to show you an A1 shot. Well, let's show you a C3 shot. I want this ball to go as far as I can. Let's go one. This ball to go as far as I can. I don't have a 10.5 driver right now. I want to keep some height to this, so I'm going to use a 3-wood. I want this ball to get out there far. If I use a driver right now, I would probably, this cactus over here comes into play, that little rock over there comes into play on an A1. I'm going to use the 3. I'm just going to pull back A, and then I'm going to hit it as hard as I can. I want 1. So that 3-wood that normally shows a distance of 285 yards just went 370 with a high tee. So just kind of show what's capable. What an A1 is going to do is get you around stuff. An A1 in C3 goes farther than a straight shot. It can get you places. So that's also going to be in a separate video. For right now, is more so I just wanted to show the, I just wanted to get here. A little bit in between clubs here, but this also comes into play where I said earlier about this 6-wood doesn't really go the distance it says it does. Most other clubs, if you were to club up that far and just shoot it straight, you're going to be down in that sand bunker. This club, if I put backspin on this, I'm probably going to have a pretty good shot. I'm probably going to be pretty close to that hole. Not in the hole, but it'll be close. This 8-wood's a little short. If I was to take this 8-wood, I'd really have to hit that. Pull back, hit it hard. Same with this club that normally isn't in most of our bags anymore, 3 hybrid. If I take this 3 hybrid, it's fine. The wind's not going to really affect it distance-wise. But what it is going to do is it's going to land way before. It's going to land in that rough. It's not going to make it in the air to the green. It's going to land short because of its low trajectory. It has a trajectory basically of a driver. So if we take this, I'm just going to thumb this pretty much straight, and I'm going to push it a hair to the left to try and count. That wind is essentially straight in our face. It is pushing a hair to the right, just a little bit. If you look on the green and look at the green slope, we also have a right slope green. So if I want to make sure that my ball doesn't end up way over here on the right, off in the sand, I got to push this a little bit left, and it's also going to give me a run at the hole. I'm barely pushing this left. I didn't even push left at all, according to the shot meter. I hit it straight. So if you notice now, I am to the right of the pin because I shot that straight. If I would have pushed that a hair left, I probably would have been real close to that green. Now, if you also notice that 6-wood, essentially 20 yards of distance, 30 yards of distance, just got taken off that 6-wood. You were shooting into a 6-mile-an-hour wind from Wrof. And if you notice, there wasn't a whole lot of backspin when it landed. It was because we were shooting not from Wrof, but we were shooting from like the second cut. So the distance was going to get knocked off no matter what. And by being a thumb shot, essentially, you know, like I said, that wind was going to be very predictable, and it was going to be about 10 yards shorter than if I would have pulled it back. So now we have a right 4, up 3. On a shot like this, you want to push this just a hair to the left and still putt it hard. You don't want to putt this straight. You could probably get this in hitting this really hard straight, but you run a higher risk of missing it to the right. So if you push this just a hair to the left and hit it hard, you're not going to miss this. And there's the front 9 on Agave Ranch. So yes, we took some mulligans, but you now just saw how to shoot a 14 under on the front 9 of Agave Ranch. That is what we call Golden Tee par. What Golden Tee par is if you get on every hole and make what you're supposed to, what you should shoot. So the front 9 of Agave Ranch is 14 under, and the last 1 and 2 are drivable. And the setup we saw, 1 technically was drivable. Most good players would have got an eagle there. We would have been on the green, we would have putted for eagle. Second hole was not drivable, so it takes that out of the equation. So on the setup we're on, technically 15 under is par. You know, it was a 439 to the pin, so we'll call it what would be a 14.5 for Golden Tee par. So we're pretty much right on pace. And I wasn't going to go for hole 1 because I needed to explain how to drive. So holes like this are uphill, so you can kind of see it already. It has an elevation change. You're shooting uphill. You're losing distance because of that. So clubs like this, the 6-wood, 5-wood, 8-wood, are great for these options because what's going to happen is they're going to stay up in the air higher and come down. Clubs like this 3 hybrid have a lower trajectory. So for you to get this club, you could get on the green with this 3 hybrid right now. You would have to hit it very hard with backspin or high tee it to get it up there, because high tee is going to make the ball loft a little higher, but you're not going to be able to stop a high tee. If you use a high tee with this, you're going to land on the green and just keep rolling. You're not going to stop. You're not going to come back. It's not going to go anywhere. Whereas the 6-wood, like I said, with a thumb, with backspin, almost identical to the last shot I just took. I got to push it a hair bit to the left. Or instead of pushing a hair bit to the left, what if we do this? What if we take the tee now and just move it over here? And kind of negate a lot of that pushing to the left. And we put backspin on it. And then I'm just going to hit this straight. I pushed it a little bit right. Notice how it didn't go 245 yards even with a 6-mile-an-hour wind going out. Theoretically, it should have went about 255, 260 going outward. But because we're uphill, it doesn't. Secondarily, it's a 6-wood. It's broken. But you guys don't worry about the broken 6-wood. Not yet. Worry about getting on that green, making that putt, because that's most important. So, this hole is long, uphill, deceiving, does a lot of things. And you got stuff in your way. You got cactus in the way, you've got bunkers, that green's a pretty big green. You basically are going to want to, on a beginner version of taking this shot, the safest shot here isn't necessarily middle of the green, because middle of the green is going to leave you with an extremely long putt. The safe shot here is to try and get, not necessarily closest to the hole, but try and be in the left half of that green. So there's a lot of distance this way right now on that green, right up there. So if you can land right over in here, you're going to have a good look. The correct shot here is probably the 10.5 driver, or this 3.5, the 3-wood. If you hit the 3-wood good here, put some bite on it, backspin, you'll get it up near that hole. You have to push it a little bit right from right here. Theoretically, probably you want to do something like that to push you a little bit further over. You're going to want to hit it pretty good. You're not going to want to murder it. Matter of fact, I'll just hit it the way I would normally hit it. So I'm just going to push this a little bit to the right. Actually, I'll play the safe shot. That would be better. I'm just going to play the safe shot. So we'll play the safe shot to show you guys the safe shot. Safe shot here, use a high tee. We're going to put backspin on it. And we're just going to take this ball and we're going to, nice and smoothly, push it a little bit to the right. And notice how the backspin did absolutely nothing when that ball landed? It's because we had a high tee. The advantage we had there, though, is we took the bunker out of play, kind of, by using the higher tee. And I barely hit that ball. If you notice how soft I hit that ball, I easily got to that green. I didn't have to murder it. I didn't have to worry about my cut. That high tee allowed me to get there easier. Now, ideally was not the correct shot. The correct shot in that instance would have been to take a regular 3-wood with backspin, or like I said, a 10.5 driver with backspin, or bite, because then you would have stayed on the green at least. Ideally, I was trying more to be over here to show you to be safe. If you're on this green over here, you're fine. But where I am right now is also fine technically. I did roll through the fringe, okay? I'm gonna hope to God I don't do that stupid crap with this button. You notice I'm in the rough. I'm right on the edge of the rough. You can see that if you turn your player. You can see now that I am absolutely in the rough, okay? It says on rough right on the screen. But this shows that I'm on the rough. There is no lip here, though. You can see that there's not really a lip. Pull this club back. It is flat through this, all the way flat down through the green. You can putt this. So this is a straight putt. There's nothing to this, nothing special. You are just going to putt this ball. It's the safest shot. There's no reason to chip this. If you chip this, you're putting too much margin of error in it. You could screw it up. Even if the rough grabs this ball a little bit and doesn't go straight, let's say I go hit this ball and it goes off a little bit to the right, I'm going to have like a couple foot long putt for birdie. So, very safe shot. So let's put that back, let's push it forward, and I caught the right edge of it. So, I want some real cute shirt. Yes, dear? Huh? If you want to come on camera in your,
No.
in your, nightgown.
No.
You want to look like a, 60-year-old grandma. Everyone, here's the wife. Here's Stacy. Hi.
Hey, baby. Bye.
Can you make sure Gary doesn't come back?
The door. Austin's got him upstairs. I just took him out. He's good.
Okay. Because you missed Gary chase the cats through the golden tea machine before.
Did everybody see it?
Well, no, because Cameron didn't really pick it up. But
was he naughty?
Stevie almost broke the Crown Royal mirror. She ran at this one full speed and hit it.
Ooh.
And bounced off it. I wish I would have had a camera on it because it was hilarious. But anyway. But I'm still streaming, so I am now on hole 12 of the first stream of Beginner Golden Tea. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry. I love you.
Love you too. Now go make me a sandwich.
Damn. No, honestly, do you need anything though?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You have water and stuff in your fridge?
Yes. Brought some in earlier.
No,
If not, we're fully loaded on Michelob Ultra.
There's only beer in here.
It's all Michelob Ultra and Jägermeister.
Do you want some water?
I have water. I have a half a water right here.
I meant a couple in your fridge.
There's one in there.
Okay.
I put one in there this morning.
All right, I love you.
Love you too. All right, sorry. Back to Golden Tea. Uh-oh. The comedy never ends in this place. Anyway, that was my beautiful wife, everyone. I was forced to say it. There she comes, she's hitting me. Ow!
They didn't see it, so it's not proof.
Oh, there's no video evidence? All right. She is beautiful. She's great. Anyway, let's continue. This hole. Basically, this fairway is really messy, kind of tilts all over the place. The best advice I can give on this is probably just get the ball. You don't want the ball to go off to the right and go down into the sand. You want the ball to kind of stay in the fairway. You're much better off having a fairway shot. So, just going to thumb a straight shot over here. And get a quick shot again. Speed that up a little. Notice how the ball rolls off to the right. Okay. Same kind of theory as the last hole. It's uphill a little bit. I'm going to show you a different way to approach this. So the 6-wood would be the way I normally would take this with backspin, because it would land more center to the green. It gives a better thing for a putt. 8-wood, if you hit it harder, will easily make it there. I'm going to hit a 8-wood with bite. I'm going to push this a little bit to the left. I'm actually going to pull this back. So, right at it. Notice how that kind of backspin a little bit. Now that was bite, it wasn't backspin. So bite did land and then kind of bring the ball back a little bit. It killed the distance on it. I wanted to show that because it shows that you can be underclubbed and easily make it places, especially when you have wind behind you, especially a higher lofted club like that 8-wood. The putt's as easy as it's going to get, so let's move on. Here we go. Some excitement. So, we have a difficult par 3. It's not an easy par 3, it's a difficult par 3. You are landing on a small peninsula, you have a strong crosswind, and quite honestly on this club set, I don't think I have the club I would want for this. But we will make do, and we will land this green. It's 6 iron, it's actually pretty good. So, this 5 hybrid, we absolutely have to play the wind. 5 iron, 4 iron, 3 iron, 2 iron, 0 hybrid, 1 hybrid. There's a lot of clubs that kind of fall into this thing that when they aren't as affected as by the wind. So if I take a 6 iron on this versus this 5 hybrid and shoot it in the exact same spot with the exact same, type of velocity, speed, that 12-mile-an-hour wind is going to affect those two balls completely. Not completely different, but it's going to affect them differently in the amount that it moves the shot over. The safe shot on this is going to be to cut the ball into this wind, which we haven't covered cuts yet. I've been just trying to give you the basics of the straight shots. Would be to cut the ball into the wind here, probably, I would say probably backspin or bite, and try and stay on the lower tier of the screen. Higher tier, we'll fly by so we can see this a little bit. The higher tier of the screen is actually larger, it's a little bigger, and then you have that little ramp section in the middle. If you can get the ball to stay in the bottom half, you have a much higher makeable putt, and you don't have to worry as much about rolling off into the water. If I take the 6 iron and I hit that straight, it is going to go off the left side of the green. It is not going to stay on by any means. If I push that to the right, I can probably get it to stay on. That really is not the right club. If I high-teed that with backspin and pushed it far enough to the right, yes, I could get that to get on the green and stay and be safe. The 5 hybrid is probably the club. That 3 hybrid is way too far out. And this 8-wood, although I know I could probably get it down right next by the hole, that 8-wood is really not the, if you're good at cutting, you know how to use a low tee, that 8-wood is actually probably easier to work than that 5 hybrid. But that's also a more advanced course. We'll do it some other point. So for today's purposes, we're taking a 5 hybrid. We'll put bite on it. We're just going to thumb it into the wind. We are not going to, actually we're going to go backspin. I'm not going to do the cut. The cut shot here basically would be, we would pull the ball towards A to counter the wind. So we would cut the ball through A and push the trackball out a little bit to the left of 2 or at 2 to get the ball to kind of do this, back into the wind, and then the wind would bring it back the little bit that we need to get back to the hole. A little bit more advanced, different lesson, different day. Okay, so for now, we are taking what is not the right shot. We're going to just thumb this into this 12-mile-an-hour wind. You need to go a little bit further to the right. It is a 12-mile-an-hour wind, but you don't have to go that far to the right. Not as far as you think you have to. I mean, essentially, I'm going to go on a line through about right here. I won't even be to the midway point between 2 and 3. I'll actually be closer to 2 when I thumb this. So I'm going to thumb it and watch the shot meter. I'll leave it up.
This could be trouble, Jim. It's safe. Yep, we'll watch the ball on this.
So if you notice how far I pushed that to the right, it countered that 12-mile-an-hour wind enough to get us back to the hole to be on and be safe. Bite was actually the better call there. Bite might actually went in the hole. Backspin made the ball come back down the hill more. Not a big deal. Gives us a good putt, for example, and up 5, right 5. Now when you get into a right 5, we have to start worrying more about the slope. If you notice now I'm turning one to the left, it now says it's right 3. That says it's right 5. That says it's right 6. So as you get up to the hole, it's in a spot that's going more to the right. So you absolutely need to push that left firm, nice and hard, to make sure you make this putt. If you don't push it any bit, if you push this straight, it'll just go right. It's not going to get anywhere near going in that hole. You're not even going to catch the edge of that, getting it straight. If you push it too far left, not that that's hard to do, but the further you get to the left, now it's going to change you. It's hard to explain. So practice putting, but remember to hit them firm. Don't hit them soft, hit them firm. So you're going to want to hit that hard. Pushed it to the left that little bit, it goes in. If you want to rewind that a little bit and watch the shot meter to see how far to the left I pushed that, you'll actually notice that my pullback was probably horrendous. I probably pulled straight back and then pushed to the left. That wasn't really meant the way that shot was supposed to be. I don't watch the shot meter necessarily that often. I watch it when I make a mistake, so I learn from it. I don't watch it every shot. I've been playing the game too long. I never needed it. Didn't have it for 17 years of Golden Tee. I don't have to see it to know what's going on. I can watch what the ball does on the screen and know what a player did. Obviously some cuts are easier to see when you see it in the shot meter, or how hard something's hit. It's a great tool when you're learning. It's an excellent tool when you're learning because it teaches you a lot of things. Don't get caught up on the shot meter on speed. Don't worry about the mile per hours. If you're not good at the game, mile per hour means nothing to you. When you can shoot 25 under, now mile per hour means something to you. Now you worry about it. Now you start paying attention to it. Until that point, until you're into the mid 20 under rounds on average all the time, don't worry about mile per hour unless you have a very huge problem with it, like a very bad inconsistency problem. Figure out the consistency part, not worrying about what the meter says. I've had easily 400-yard drives straight that have been in the 130s. I've had, an A1 that it was hit, 140 miles per hour, go 485 yards. I've had some crazy numbers because the shot meter said one thing, didn't mean anything. So, now on the other hand, if you get what they call 120, that's different. We'll cover that in a different video. That's not for this video. So, this hole. Earlier when we discussed tees, notice we have this big thing in front of us. A little bit of a gap there, but we have this big mountain, essentially a big rock with a bunch of cactus on it, that's stopping us from just shooting straight at this hole. So this is where high tees come into play. If you use a high tee, you'll get the extra height to go over right in the center of this. So what I mean by the center of this is where you see those two real short cactuses on the top, right through the center where there's a rock right by them. Those two cactuses, you'll go over those. The higher cactuses, just to the left of that, or all the ones over here on the right, you will not go over. You will go over those with a high tee. So, that's with a 5-wood, 4-wood, 6-wood, 8-wood. 3-wood's not going over that, driver's not going over that from the position we're in. The correct and actual play on this shot is to do something like this and to cut the ball to bring it back over here so that you are taking all of this out of play. So you would actually be on the green for sure. Now, as a safe shot, you could go this route and land the green for sure too. But because of that wind, you've got a little bit of a problem. And your problem is that you can't really push the trackball to the right because you will hit this if you push that to the right. So that's why I say the cut comes into play. So just to show a cut shot, we're going to do a cut shot. Let's see how I like this shot. We're going to do this shot from here. Backspin. Okay. My objective here is to get on the green and get the ball to go towards the hole. If you notice the lineup, I'm lined up way over to the left. We got 11-mile-an-hour wind. I have to cut it a little bit more, so that means I have to put a little bit more A on it. Rules of cutting, or the extreme basics of cutting. I'll do a whole cutting video. You're pulling back in the direction of where you want the ball to end up. So I'm going to pull A. If I'm looking at the screen, I know the pin's over there. I want to land over there, so I'm going to pull it there. I am pushing forward on this cut to miss anything in my immediate vicinity. So if I push straight forward, I'm hitting that rock. I need to push over here to go out around this rock and come back. So from where we're sitting right now, we're about half and half. So about half A, half one, approximately, kind of gets us over in the ballpark. Excuse me. If we hit it too soft, we're going to be short. If we hit it too hard, we're going to be long. With that wind, we're pretty dead on for a normal hit, A1, half-half, to get there. So if you notice my lineup, this is the straight, kind of at the green lineup. We're off-centered. We're not perfectly on. You probably are never going to be on holes like this. So you have to kind of figure out how to get the ball to maneuver to where you want it to go. It's where a cut shot comes in. So we're going to take the shot that I think is the correct shot, my first shot. So you know, this was about half A. I didn't go all the way out one. Not that I needed to, but you also notice I was a little bit short, landed in the rough, then came on. That was the other reason I put backspin on it. If I would have bite on that, I probably would have rolled through. It'd be in the lower rough. If I wouldn't put anything on it, I absolutely would have been in the rough or in the sand. By having backspin on it, it kind of brings the ball, makes it check. It also kicks it off the direction you're trying to go more. So when it lands and the backspin kicks, it's going to kick it that way too. So also advanced lessons, we'll cover that in more detail later. I just wanted to show the correct shot there to kind of give you an idea where this goes. You know, as we're going through these holes, you know, there's nothing to say on that hole that you didn't just lay up over in the fairway. Club a couple down, lay up over in the fairway, now take that second shot to the green. Take the birdie. But at some point you have to learn how to cut. So, you know, even if you wouldn't have got the full lay, or, you know, the amount of cut that you needed there, and you would just at least got it there onto the green, well, at least you had a putt. Kind of like this. We'll show a good example here too. It's 15-mile-an-hour wind, right to left, okay? I want that ball to be out that way as far as I can because I want to take all of the, I want to take all this rock out of the way for my next shot. I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want it to be in my way on my second shot. I want it to be out of the way on this shot. So I want this ball to be as far that way, far straight forward as I want. To get that distance, I'm going to use an A1 high tee with roll to maximize to get this ball as far as I can get it. Now that 15-mile-an-hour wind's pushing that way back to the left, okay? If I do a C3 right now, that wind's gonna really push that ball to the left. So when that ball comes around, it's gonna cut out like this and come back around. When it comes back around, it's really gonna go over there. If I do this, I'm going to come way back up. I might actually make it up into that rough over there way on the right. If I go here, I got a lot of open fairway there to play with. Okay, so you see a large gaping gap. So an A1, essentially, if you look at it right on the screen, is going to do, you know, kind of like a curve. Basics on an A1 with no wind are that if this is where I want my ball to land out there, I aim one to the left, I go full A, I hit it one nice and hard, and my ball will end up in this line. Because of this wind, it's probably going to be the left of that line. I'll probably be closer over there to the rough, closer over there to the dirt on the left, but it's the basics. So, A1. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to hit it. Let me do this first. It's actually kind of cold down here. My hands actually. Right. I'm just going to hit it. Do it my way. So I got a good clean 151 on that. Not a perfect A1 by any means. Into a 15-mile-an-hour wind, essentially. Notice the winds are still in our face. It still went like 370 yards. I took all of this stuff on the left out of play. I'm far enough forward that I don't have to worry about any of it. Don't have to cut around it. Don't have to do anything special. I do have a straight 15-mile-an-hour backwind behind me now, though. So I have a little bit of a problem that if I take that shot, I'm probably going to fly the green. So you need to club down when you got this kind of wind behind you. Even if I thumb this soft with backspin, I'm probably going through over half of the green, and I'm going to have like a 40, 50-foot putt back. If I take this shot and I thumb it, I do run a little bit of risk of being short, because obviously I'm going to want to try and play the wind a little bit. But if I take this and do a full, if I actually pull it back and hit it, and I put backspin on it, 6-iron is going to backspin more on the 5-iron, so I'm going to be closer to the hole. The wind is easily going to cover the 25-yard difference between the shot meter over here at 155 and the 180 yards we have to pin. It's absolutely going to negate that. 15-mile-an-hour wind theoretically should take the ball 30 yards farther. Meaning if I just thumb this right now, I should land on the green at 180 yards or 185 yards basically. That's the theory. That would be on a straight shot. I mean, if I hit it straight. Obviously, it's not going to be the correct line to go to the hole, but on a straight thumb shot right now, I should land at about 185. If I pull it back and hit it, I could easily, go like, 210, 220, whatever it takes. So, trying to think if there'd be a different way to show this shot. Yeah, let's do it. We're going to use this 6-iron. We're going to hit backspin on it. I'm aiming one to the right because now notice how much of a kind of a crosswind we have with that 15-mile-an-hour wind. I want to push this ball just a hair to the left and let the wind bring it over to the left, back to the green. Ideally, this would be the shot. Normal world shot, I'm taking a thumb shot at this, pushing this about midway through here, thumbed that way with the wind, because it should easily make it there. It should be close to the pin that way. But for basics, this is actually pretty safe because the wind is going to take it to the left automatically. And if you kind of help it, it's going to take it more. And by pulling back, we're making sure we're getting the distance to get to the green. So that's why we're going to take this shot, because the shot to me is safer. Well, we got a great shot. We're within 6 feet of the pin. So you don't know what happens on a great shot. We'll let that shot, just so you can see the overhead view over here on the left of how that worked. Without much wind pushed it to the left that far. Great shots are given when you land within 6 feet of the pin. So when your ball lands on an approach shot over 80 yards, if it lands within 6 feet of the pin, you get what's called great shot. So you get great shot points. Great shot points are based on the distance you were from the hole. So on that shot, I forgot what the exact yardage was, like 150 yards, we'll say. Let's say it was exactly 150 yards to the pin. If that shot would have went in the hole, and I would have put it in the hole on that shot, I would have got 15,000 greatest shot points. Because I landed 5 feet from the hole at 150 feet, I ended up with, I don't know, whatever it was, 57,000, 58,000, or 5,800 greatest shot points. So that's how great shot points are calculated. They're calculated by the distance from the hole and the distance from the pin. If you're inside 80 yards, that shot would have been 78 yards. I would not have got greatest shot points on this. If I would have put it in the hole, I would have, but it didn't go. So, remember earlier when I said hit putts hard? You have a 5-foot putt that's right 4. So theoretically, it is going to break to the right away. You are going uphill. You can just hit this hard straight and it will go in the cup. You're not going to miss it to the right. You don't have to push this left. You can just hit it hard. It goes in. I noticed it didn't go over the cup. I hit that pretty hard, and the ball didn't go zipping over the top of that cup. It just went in. And now we come to what is considered... Nice. So we come to what is considered by a lot of people to be the hardest hole of Golden Tee 2019. And I understand the argument from a lot of newer players, beginners, people who haven't seen some of the older holes that are way harder than this, where greens were smaller, a lot more treacherous. At least this, you have some bailout area. You are shooting into a very, very uphill green, okay? So you do have an elevation change. You are shooting uphill. So woods are great here. So 5 wood, 4 wood, 3 wood, they're great clubs. On this particular setup, we have an 8-mile-an-hour wind. So we have to overcome the 8 mile an hour to come back to the hole. If you notice where the pin is right now, where the hole is, it's really tucked with this rock and stuff here. In theory, you want to land somewhere safe. Don't worry about going at the hole. Okay, worry about going at the hole. Like I said, when we start getting to the point where this is the only hole that you don't have good on this course, now you start worrying about how do I cut a ball to get it in there to get it close to that hole, so I'm not losing a stroke. Okay, you worry about it then. You don't worry about it right now. Right now, you worry about getting on this green. And the way you would get on this green is shoot the ball to the top half where it's bigger, but you want to try and make sure you keep the ball to the left half so you're not blocked by this rock. So you essentially want to be on the left side of the green. You could probably just take this shot right now, just as it sits, with some probably backspin or bite, and stay on the green, because the ball's not going to roll up through into that water. Matter of fact, you know what? We got mulligans, so we're going to take this shot. We're going to push this just a hair to the right, thumb it, and show you where it goes. Forward. I thumbed it too far to the right. Okay? Rock. Water.
Peter, what's this look like? On tee now. It's golf for one.
Same exact shot, 3 wood. Water.
Waterama, Jim.
Starting to see what I mean about being safe?
Ready to tee off. It's golf for one.
Okay? Forward. Backspin. Cut. It's on, but it's not in a good spot.
Next up, golf for one.
Forward. High tee. Backspin. Same shot as the first shot, but now with a high tee. Okay? Doesn't stop. Rolls right through because it was a high tee.
Let's watch the tee shot of golf for one.
Safety. Okay? I'm going to call this shot the safety shot. It's safe. Not necessarily that this is 100% makeable every time. I'm probably going to be like 5 out of 10 making this. Maybe only 3 out of 10. You could putt this for safety. You'd almost probably want to... There's a lot of fringe in between. Putting would be the safest because it's not going to go in the water. And you would guarantee yourself a birdie. Chipping this would probably be ideal. Even me, I would probably be putting this, but I would be probably pushing it out very close to 3 so that when it gets through this amount of fringe, it's going to now come back left because it is a left 4 and it is down 10, so it's easily going to get there. But we're going to keep showing shots here instead. Okay, so I've now shown you what, the 6 different tee shots I've shown. Realistically, we've had 2 that were legitimately on the green in a usable position. That you could have at least had an attempt at birdie. It's going to show that, what I'm trying to show is that there's multiple different ways to play this hole. Multiple different ways to play this hole. It is a difficult hole. I'm not going to lie to you, it is a difficult hole. I'm gonna take my gut reaction shot when I first saw the hole, okay? Because I haven't actually taken it yet. So the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was to do this. A little bit of A, the bite, push it out with a 4-wood. I might have overcut that.
Will it make it?
I didn't overcut it necessarily per se. Oh, can we get a replay of that? Ah, damn. I forgot to hit the button quick enough. So it came in, landed up there, and hit that rock to the right of the green. So it bounced off, hit the rock. You know what? I'm just going to take the damn shot again. Because why not? We have mulligans to choose them. So we're going to do that again. Bite, a little bit of A, push it out, 4-wood. So what happened there? Didn't make it. Didn't hit it hard enough. So mulligan, 4-wood. You see what I'm getting at? That there's so many different ways to shoot this. So we'll go with the same shot, and now hit it. And look at that, right at it. We are right on the fringe, 7 feet, left 7. I could sit here all day. I'll eventually put it in the hole. It's going to be with a shot very similar to that. It's going to be all a matter of what speed I hit it at, where I land on the green, and get that bite to kick over and go in the hole. For being safe on this hole, all I can really say is actually, let's go back and do the safe shot. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and go for the safe shot.
Golfer 1, up at the tee.
There's a lot of room to play in the top part of this green. And the only reason I say that that's the safe shot right now is because if you hit the fat center part of that green, you can't go in the water. And by not going in the water, you have probably gained a stroke or two over your friends, because the chip across the water on this hole is worse than being stuck behind that rock, because you can always leg putt over to get out from behind it, okay? So the 3-wood here is a good choice because of the distance. You're either going to have to hit a 4-wood pretty hard because it is uphill into that big 8-mile-an-hour wind that's going to be there the whole way. Whereas this 3-wood, if you hit this and counter that wind, you're going to be pretty safe. So I'm going to do a pullback 3-wood, push that to the right. Our goal is to just be safely on the top part of this green. Nothing fancy. Oh, I hit that too hard? No. But we're on the top. And now we have a downhill putt. So this is actually going to teach a lesson. We're going to stop with the tee shots on this hole. We're now on. Okay? We have it safely on the green. I hit that a little hard. Probably should have just thumbed that 3-wood. We would have been further down the green. This is a great time for a you haven't heard this yet segment. Down 10, right 3. This is the one exception where I will tell you that absolutely when you pull your trackball back to take this putt, pull it either all the way to C or pull it all the way to A. By pulling it all the way to the side, you will slow down the ball's launch speed when it leaves the green. So when you hit the ball forward, it won't go super, super fast and roll over that hole because it has too much speed. A down 10 will absolutely roll over that hole. If I just thumb this where I need to right now, I am literally taking a 50-50 chance of it going in the hole or rolling over the hole. If I pull that trackball back full C or full A and then hit that ball where I want it to go and I hit dead center of that cup, I have now taken it down to only about a 20% chance that that ball will roll over. So it's a more of a safety. We're trying to reduce our risk of rolling over. So full C. And then we're going to push. You can pull back again, straight back, by the way. Once you have now registered the C, you could pull back again. So I'm actually going to pull back so I have a natural putting stroke. And now I will push that a little bit to the left to counter the break. And it went right in the middle of the cup. If I don't pull that back C, like I said, completely 50-50 if that was going to go in the hole or if it was literally going to hop over the cup and go down and miss. So, safe on this hole. Love to tell you that there is. There is. I'd love to tell you that it's very simple too, but it's really not. By the time you get to these holes towards the end, you're always going to have a lot of wind. You're always going to have to play a lot of wind. You have 12-mile-an-hour wind pushing out here. If you hit this hard, you're going in the water. You hit this too soft, or we club down too many, like let's say we take this 8 wood. I mean, could I get an 8 wood on this green right now? Yeah, if I really wanted to, but there's too many things that could not make that 8 wood not be the correct club choice. The 6 wood is a good choice because even if I just thumb this right now, I know that with that 12-mile-an-hour wind, I don't think it's going to go the 24 extra yards that I theoretically tell you it does. It's not going to go 270. It's probably only going to go like 260, 265, and if you get backspin on that, you're stopping on the green perfect. The lineup, though, dictates that this lineup is not good. You have to cut this, but the advantage of aiming over here now is you are actually taking the rocks by the green out. So if you shoot this straight, there's these rocks here that if you bounce off of, there's no spin anymore. So if you're short, those rocks are probably going to throw you into the water if you're short on this shot. So if you take the shot and you're short, you are putting those rocks into play. If I go over here and take one of those cut shots with some backspin and come in, with about half A, half one with backspin, I'm going to land more over by where that pin is, right in the middle of the green with nothing in my way. All I have to do is worry about getting over this stuff, which I'm going to do. For sake of argument, today, we are going to put this in the front corner of this box and put backspin on it, and we're just going to thumb it straight. And we're going to let the wind do its work, okay? We're just going to take a thumb, 84-mile-an-hour thumb, rock, green, fringe. It's safe. I didn't murder it, wasn't coming in with a ton of wind, got a lucky bounce off that rock. A lot of times you'll bounce off that rock and it won't even stop in the green, it'll just fly the green. This isn't that bad of a putt. It's a pretty good look. It's not bad. So now, go to this side of the green. We're going to take the exact same shot. Oh, I hit that 91 this time. Okay, lands, rolls all the way down to the green.
This one is close to the green.
A little closer. Essentially, it was closer to the pin because we were further left when we took the initial tee shot.
Number 1, long tee.
Now I'm going to show you the shot that I originally said. I'm going to use a 5-wood on this, just because I trust it's cutting a little bit better. I've played with the 5-wood for literally every club set I think I've had for 19 years. So I'm going to go over about half. I'm going to go half with backspin. Turn the quick shot off so you can see it a little better. So notice I didn't murder that. I just hit a nice smooth A1. I didn't murder it, but I got the ball over here, got it to where it's safe. Eventually, worry about the basics and the straight shots first. Worry about getting them at least on the green. Getting fancy necessarily doesn't help you up front until you really understand how the shot works. Once you understand how the shot works, that's different. Go for it. Absolutely go for it, because that's the correct way to play this game. The correct way to play this game is to cut into the wind and learn how you can gain distance, lose distance by using cuts, and how you're manipulating the ball to get around things to get where you need to be. So if you saw that ball came in, it came in at a great angle towards that hole. The backspin kind of brought it back up the hill. You know what we're going to do? We're actually going to take that shot again. Show kind of giving a little bit of the advanced class here in this, but why not? I got nothing better to do today. We're going to use bite, same shot. Hope I hit it 108 again and get about the same line. So I hit it 114, a little more. I pushed it out further one this time. Bite brings it over. I'm going to roll over here into the fringe. So this will lead us to, I'll lead this shot. That's how we're going to take this. I'm going to show you what happens when you putt this, okay? You're most likely not going to make this putt. It was short. No, I was short. It was short because there's too much fringe. There's too much fringe between you and the rest of the green for that putt to be makeable. So especially even if I take a thumber at this and I go, it's just not makeable, okay? So this is where chipping comes into play. You have to chip this. Or if you're just trying to be safe and, hey, your buddy went in the water and you need that stroke to beat him on this game, just putt this straight, or even just turn right one and putt it, and it'll go up there, and now you got another putt. He's in the water. He's still got to get on the green. So you already gained a stroke. So here, to prove the point, I'm going to hit this absolutely as hard as I can forward. Okay? I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to hit it as hard as I can. And you're going to see that this will not go in. Notice, it's not going to get there. So, you need to chip. To keep the basics of chipping simple, we're going to go back to, once again, just using this lob wedge. We're going to use what I taught a little bit earlier about distance. So you're going to want to pull this back it's 8 yards to the pin. This is a 40-yard club, so you're going to pull that back 1/4, and then you're going to hit it forward. Because you are going uphill, you're going to want to use roll or release. I'm going to use release so that if we do miss, we're not super far past this hole. But we also, if you remember, we're playing a lob wedge with a 12-mile-an-hour wind, so it is going to push it a little bit to the left. So this is probably going to play like a left 2 or 3. So we're going to play for that in our chip. So we're going to pull it back about there. And then we're going to push forward. If we would have roll on that, right there on that shot, that would have went in. If that would have had roll on it. This is no different than putting through that fringe, if you didn't just notice that. We're in the same spot. So we're going to take the lob wedge again this time. We roll. I hit that too soft. But notice the ball rolled further.
And now, golf for one, playing on the green spread.
So this would be the normal what most players are going to use to chip this. I'm going to take something like a 6-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron, and you're just going to pull back a little bit, push it forward. Real simple, basic. Wind doesn't affect it, so you can hit nice and soft like that. Don't need to pull real far back. Nice little, short little backswing. Nice little, just straight poke, straight forward. If you're more comfortable with your thumbs hitting straight like that, soft, you could thumb that. You can pull back with your thumbs, anything. So, here we are, hole 18. This is sometimes a par 4, sometimes a par 5. You're seeing the par 5 look. There's another fairway up here. Get the fairway down here. Really, it's all a matter of what the wind dictates. And this particular setup, the wind is pretty straightforward to this right fairway. So when I get over there, if I go where that marker is, I'm gonna have a pretty straight in my face wind. I don't gotta really worry about a lot of left or right. I just gotta worry about getting it towards the hole. And plus, with that far left pin placement over there, so we're just gonna thumb something straight. So if you notice, my thumbs generally are in that between like 83 to 90 range. If I get a real good one, snap a good one, I'm in the low 90s. That's what I say about consistency. I know I'm always going to be in the same little ballpark range, so that's why there's such a great way to play the game, because it's predictable, and you can get into situations where using that over and over is going to be extremely predictable. So right now we have a driver, 9.5 driver at that, into an 11-mile-an-hour wind on a downhill sloped green. Okay. Ideally, if I thumb this, I'm going to be short. I'm actually going to be in the water. So you're going to want to pull this back. You're going to want to hit this enough that you can get it there. You're not going to want to kill it. Bite is probably not going to stop on the green. It's going to stop and roll. So if we land in the middle of the green and we want the ball to roll down towards the hole, bite's going to be the way. If we want to make sure we stay on the green, backspin is actually the correct. You're not going to want to use roll on this unless you were doing something like hitting the living crap out of this 3-wood. Then maybe you could use roll or release. We're going to take the driver for ease of argument because it's the club that gets there. We're going to put bite on it. We're going to pull it straight back. We're going to hit straight forward. Fairly good. We're going to be a little long.
Well, it could be more in the track. Peter,
So we'll use this as the final lesson to the game. Chipping out of sand. Because a lot of times you are going to be just off the green, you're going to have some sort of hazard you're in. So you have to be mindful of the height of whatever you're trying to shoot over. So this club being in the sand, you can tell on screen says 31 yards, but it's a 40-yard club. So it's already lost 10 yards of distance right off the bat because it's in the sand. So it can only go to 30 yards. If we thumb this right now with that wind, I could probably get it up to the top of the green at about 30 yards. So because you're shooting out of sand, I'm going to tell you that you're going to want to shoot this and take some speed off down to about 15 yards. So ideally, you'd probably want to put some bite on this, some backspin, pull this halfway back, try and just get it up there and get it close. So we're just going to straight pull back, a little bit past half. You want to pull it back to about half, which is generally straight back like that. And then we're just going to push nice and smooth forward. And I'm actually short on that. So, to show the difference, I'm going to pull it all the way back. And do the same push through. Notice how it went all the way up to the top of the green? Now let's take that same, we'll take this shot now with backspin, okay? So, lands and now it stops. So we're closer here. Now you're safely on the green and you do have a putt. But show you how to get closer. So you basically have to figure out your swing. So I'm going to try and take this the way I would take this with a lob wedge. Okay, I actually probably would take this shot with a different club. So we'll pull back about there. Huh, weird. That's higher than I think it is even. So what if we were to use a G wedge? Which is probably what, oh, I know why. I don't use a lob wedge on this course. I use a sand wedge. That explains why I'm having a problem here. That's why I'm having issues. This G wedge will be more like what I'm used to using. So we're going to pull about half. Nice smooth, and I killed that too. Wow. I'm showing how bad I am at this game. Let's just thumb one straight. Backspin. Did the same thing as the pullback, really. What a 9-iron. Because this is probably actually what I would have took in the first place. It popped up, it gets close.
Just gotta get this up and out of here.
So now I'm going to take the shot that, if I really had to use this lob wedge and I didn't have a choice, this is actually how I would probably shoot the lob wedge with this. So you notice smooth pullback, smooth push forward. It didn't go the full distance in the air, but what it did is it got the ball to go higher. It was a smooth, essential shot that basically,
I've seen shallower holes in the graveyard.
with backspin, didn't fly anywhere. So it is a smooth, backspin,
It's the spin, here it comes.
soft, it's there. Okay. It's not going to go the full distance. It's going to essentially go half the distance or whatever the overall distance is. It's not a shot that's a beginner level shot per se, but if you can learn, it's a straight shot. There's no cut involved in it. It's a learnable, just smooth back forward. You're not killing it. You're not doing anything stupid. You're basically just trying to get the ball to the hole, get it there, get it safe. That's all you're trying to do. Because I'm stubborn, I'm probably going to sit here and I'm going to keep taking this shot now until I put it in the hole. Because, yeah, that's what we do around here. So we're going to try the G wedge again. And we'll pull that G wedge to go there.
Well, it's in the rough, Jim. Bad. This bunker is deep. It'll be a tough up and down from here.
Wow, I am not shooting this shot well at all.
Deep sand here.
We're just going to jam it in, I think. All right. There. I went in with a 9-iron. Only took like, what, 15 chips at that to make that happen. and a club that we didn't discuss. So the basics are, there's a GT par round in Agave Ranch for the setup we saw besides hole 1. Obviously, we used a bunch of mulligans. I'm not going to say I didn't. But it shows you that 28 under is possible. So if the shots are correctly executed, you can easily shoot a 28 under on Agave Ranch if you're executing those shots. The only shot that I said that we didn't actually go for was hole 1. Hole 1 was potentially makeable, so we went for it. I think I covered all the main basics of this game. I'm going to select something quick. What should we select? What one should we take here? One of this year's courses. I want to use Pine Meadows. One of the easier courses. Not completely overall one of the easier, but one of the easier right off the bat. So, good example. Equipment setup. We'll go back to those same clubs. World Champ 18 set. We're going to select some balls. We'll go with the Barrage again, because they're my favorites. We'll return to game. Return to game. 410 yards to the pin. People always ask about hitting the trackball hard and hitting long drives, okay? This hole is a primo example of how to learn how to drive, because it's always going to consistently be either a straight shot or you're going to use a C3. You're always going to be able, you're not going to put yourself in any real danger if you hit this ball straight forward as hard as you can. Right now, we are about as far back on this tee box as we can even get. So this is about as far a distance. If that pin's that far forward, and now you move this tee 30 yards forward, you're easily driving this every time. Being at 410 straight using this driver with these balls, I am probably not going to make it on the green. But what I want to show here is different techniques in hitting a straight trackball, okay? I'm actually going to go over this in another video also, but I'm just going to use this as a quick ender to this video. It's kind of like the bonus content if you made it this far. This is going to show you how to drive far, okay? To get the most distance out of this drive, you are going to use a high tee and use a roll. And you're going to pull back, and your key that you're trying to do is a perfect straight pullback straight forward. Remember, you don't have to pull back fast when you drive. You just pull back, and then you hit it as hard forward as you can. So you need to figure out that line for yourself. Most likely you're going to have to step a little bit to the side to be able to get your arm to go straight. If you're standing like this and trying to get it to go straight, you're probably going to push this ball sideways, okay? There's multiple different ways to drive. You have to figure it out for your comfort, in your style, your ability, your everything. So, turn again, back, okay. I'm just going to pull back and hit it. The first drive I'm going to take here, I am not going to go for it. I am going to just take a pullback straightforward drive. Like, I want this ball right now to go about 350, okay? 350, 360. Oh, I got a high tee. Yeah, 350, 360, okay? So I'm just going to do this. I didn't even take my hand off the play deck. I did not lift my hand from the play deck. I pulled back and I pushed straight forward. And I just went 352 yards into a 3-mile-an-hour wind using an IT, and I hit the ball at 124. So the mile per hour on that was 124. Okay. Tee. We're going to low tee it. We're going to put roll on it again. So now this is the low tee. I'm going to try and do that same shot. Straight pull back, straight forward. I'm not even going to lift my hand off the plate. Okay. This one was 122. Okay. Same thing, but with a low tee. It's going to roll.
You couldn't walk it out there any better than
About 7 yards short. Okay. The wind didn't affect that ball at all, realistically. So what I'm trying to show is, it's not really about what that meter says. A 120 shot got us, I mean, within 60 yards of the green. Let's continue. We're going to take it without a tee, okay? We're just going to put roll on it. No tee. Medium tee would be what technically this is. Okay? Oh, and now I hit it 131, of course. So now this is going to go farther than the first two. We already know this. Because I hit it 131, not 124. So we're getting closer. Now, I'm going to hit it. And I actually hit down on the trackball there. And notice, even though you saw me hit the trackball way more violently, my last drive was further. So I just put a lot more into that hit. A lot more into that hit. But because I hit a little bit down on the trackball, I didn't gain anything out of it. There was no gain there. We actually lost a couple of yards. So now we're trying to catch it clean again. Another 130. That's a good example. Because that's the one that was a 131 with no tee. And the no tee actually went farther. And I didn't put any effort into that. My point is that there's multiple different ways to hit this ball. No one way is right or wrong. No one's, I mean, can't say no one's way is better. There's better ways than there is. Okay? Just saw me do there is clean off the trackball. Because I'm frustrated on why I can't hit this. So I'm going to high tee, roll, and I'm going to hit it straight again. There we go, 143. Should get into the rough here. Easily. Not 38 yards from the pin. If you look at this shot right here, it's like a straight shot, man. You put some roll on that, put some release on that, thumb that thing perfectly straight, you're going right at that hole. I can show you 20 other shots that are better shots than this lob wedge. What my point is that now you're closer to that hole. There's less margin of error. So that big hit drive just got you closer to this green. This shot right here, this lob wedge, regardless of what you do, I don't think there's a way right now that you would not get birdie. Unless you mishit this ball, you are absolutely going to get a birdie on this hole. So if you pull back and hit it forward, you're going to be right by that hole. If you just thumb this right now, you're going to be right by that hole. If you just hit it straight forward, you're going to be right by the hole. You have a makeable putt. So unless you pull this back and hit it absolutely as hard as you can, and you happen to get it to go, 10 yards past this hole, right now there really is no way, unless you hit this too soft, that you're not going to get a birdie. The last 8 drives I took, that was the case. You were in the fairway. The first drive I took was just as good a shot as this one. Why? Because you had a club, it was the G wedge, that put you at the exact distance to the hole. Matter of fact, we're going to go back and we're going to do another drive. We're going to take this exact drive again, okay? Here's this drive with no tee, thumbed, no pullback, okay? This theoretically is going to go right about 310, maybe get us to maybe 315, 320. Pushed it a little right, 92 mile an hour on the thumbs. I got it to 327, 328, okay. Notice our club selection right now. We got 2 pretty good clubs to go at this. So you can take this G wedge with some roll and go at that, or we take this with backspin and just do a nice soft shot and land it just past the hole. Backspin will come right at it. Safe, okay? Didn't have to hit the crap out of the trackball to get a good second shot. Now let's take that thumb driver with roll with a high tee, okay? Real good thumb right there, 93 mile per hour, so hit a little harder than the last one. A couple extra yards. Not much. It's a good shot. This is a good second shot. That's a good second shot. I could put roll on that right now and just thumb that straight forward. As long as I get a good hit thumb shot, it's going to land past the fringe, roll right at that hole, give me a chance of putting it in the hole. I take this shot, I put backspin on this, I hit this nice, I don't want to hit it real hard, I want to hit it good. Should land past, 10 yards past the hole with backspin, come right back at that hole. Leave you a good putt. thumb,
Exciting golf.
low tee with roll.
Is ready to tee off.
So at 87, we're 5 miles an hour less than the last two. You can already see the lines here on the screen. So we're short by 11 yards on the last shot. Did it hurt us though? No, it didn't. It did change our club selection though. I can no longer use this G-Wedge comfortably and make sure I'm going to have a putted birdie. I have to take the 9 iron now. By taking this 9 iron, I don't necessarily need backspin anymore. If I just thumb this, I could land right by the hole, maybe a yard or two past it. If I put bite on it, I might actually be able to bite and get it to come back into the hole. If I put backspin on it, it's going to go past the hole, but when it lands, it's going to backspin back past this way, back towards me. It's going to be closer to me now. So there's a lot of margin for error on this hole. There's so many different shots you can take and have what I consider to be the correct shot, especially for a beginner level player. And why I say this is, if you're learning this game, there is zero reason for you to take the shot I'm about to show you, okay? This is the shot all of us are taking. So if you watch a live stream of me play this course, I'm going to set up this C3 shot with a high tee with roll, and I'm going to hit the crap out of this, and I'm going to try and get this ball on the green. There's not a reason on earth that you need to take this shot yet. Now, if you're shooting 24 or 25 under, or you're at 20 under and you need that little bit extra, and you know you're confident in your A1s and your C3s, yes, you can take this shot and go for it. But by the way this hole is set up right this minute, unless I go change my equipment to a different bag set that has a 10.5 driver in it, and I go switch to streak balls, I am probably not going to make it on this green no matter how many times I sit here and try today. Unless I catch a perfect C3 at about 158 miles per hour, I'm probably not going to be on the screen because of how far back we're on the tee. But I'm going to try anyway, okay? Maybe I would get on the green. Who knows? Anyway, now I have a shot from the Fringe. So the pros are taking the shot I just showed you. If you feel confident enough to hit the trackball that hard, because that was close. I mean, it was marginal on me hitting it harder than that. Like I said, about if I would have hit it at 158, I would have been on. If I would have hit it probably 152, I would have been on the green. I hit it 147 with a pretty solid C3. That was a pretty good. The path of the C3 was pretty good. I'm on. I'm essentially, in my world, I'm on the green. I can putt this if I really want to. You know, putting it with that amount of fringe is going to take a lot off it. It probably won't make it. Ideally, this would be chipped with like a 6 iron, 7 iron, something like that. It would chip going at this just as a straight chip, a little bit of bite on it. Try and make sure that we're going to get it there. If you're learning to play this game, though, there was no reason to take that shot. You're going to be more advantageous. You'd be more advantageous learning this game right now to club all the way down to here and do that. You know why? Because now look at how perfect this next shot is. You have a 5 hybrid straight into that. You have a ton of margin of error. You're not comfortable with that 5 hybrid, you hit a little bit short when you hit your shots, or if you thumb, or when you pull back and hit this, you're worried it's going to be short and not on the green. Well, how about take this 8 wood with some backspin? Just thumb that straight out there. It can't go past the 201 yard marker unless you pull this back. There's no way that ball's going past 201. So you know right now that that ball is going to be shorter than that. It's not possible to thumb this past 201. So why not take this shot? It's just as good as the other shots when we were up by the green. You have just percentage one was the last C3 one that put me up on the Fringe. That is the only shot so far that's been taken that actually had a higher percentage of going in the hole. Any of these can go in the hole just as often. And in actuality, this 5 hybrid, you put a little bit of release on this and hit this straight, that thing lands probably about the Fringe and it'll roll up and go right at it. You could just hit this with nothing and it'll go right at that, is my point. You don't have to murder this. There's no reason to murder this shot. There really isn't. You're never going to get there hitting this straight. If we used a 10.5 driver right now with streaks and hit this ball straight and did get a good 145 hit, yes, we could probably get on the green and have a putt. It's not necessarily likely because we have to cover about 400 yards before we are even to the fringe. So that's where that C3 came into play. C3 is going to have a little bit extra distance to it. A1 is going to have more distance to it. But on this hole, you cannot A1. And A1 is going to hit that tree. So you can't use the A1 here. If we're all the way to the right of the tee box, you can sometimes, very rarely, get away with an A1 on this shot. I guess I'll cover this hole more when I actually do a full 18-hole Pine Meadow. I've been trying to just keep the basics straight. So for ending of video purposes, I'm going to hit this out there the way I think that you should. Don't use a tee. Save 3 cents if you're playing in a bar. Pull back. Hit it forward with roll, with your, nothing special. We can go about 350 here. And now we have, like I said, now we have this shot here. It's safe. If I thumb this, like I said, I can't go past 172. You have this 3 mile an hour wind in your face. It's actually going to help the ball come back this way. You put some backspin on this, and you just hit this thumb. Okay. Go past the hole. Oh, look at that. I just got the eagle. I just hold that out. So my point being, all along there was that being in that fairway was just as good as being closer up to the green, being farther back. I just kind of proved it there. So, like I said, even if that went to wet in the hole, I would have been very close to the hole. We would have been very close to the hole with a very good chance of opportunity at eagle. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here because I don't want to get into this hole until I actually do Pine Meadows. Because there's a lot to say about this hole, and this is actually a really, really bad setup on this hole, to be quite honest. This is probably one of the crappier and having to teach someone moments, because there's a lot more to explaining this than there is a lot of other holes. So we're gonna leave it at this. Thank you for everyone that watched. I hope you learned something. If you got any comments, whatever, subscribe to my YouTube page, Twitter, or not Twitter, yeah, subscribe to my Twitter, what the hell, why not? Josh Mertzig on Facebook, Jay Mertzig on Twitch, Josh Mertzig on YouTube. You name it, you're going to find me. I'm the only Josh Mertzig that exists on this planet that I'm aware of. So you're going to find how to find me. When I'm streaming, I'm trying to stream on as many platforms as possible. If you have any comments, Facebook Messenger, I do check my, not friends box. If you want to friend me on Facebook, I have no problem with that. Go ahead. I will generally notice that we have mutual friends in the Golden Tee community. I always accept. If I notice any single Golden Tee player, I always accept it. Even if not, maybe send me a message and say, hey, it's Golden Tee. If you have a problem or you have questions about anything about this game, please feel free to send them. I will try to cover them on some sort of video in the future. I feel that visual is better than, so visual learning here is better than me just typing back to you and telling you what to do, because there's a lot of margin for interpretation. By me physically standing here and showing you this on the machine, I believe you're getting better input, better knowledge. You're going to learn more, and I hope you learned at least something today. Like I said, today was the basics. Today was as basic as I could get. I'm going to continue doing videos going more into depth into other parts. I'm going to actually think I'm going to end this video, and I think actually the next video I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the classic course of the week and I'm going to break it down. I think I'm just going to do a breakdown video of the classic course of the week. So I'm going to do that next, and then just because I kind of want to speed a little bit more through an 18-holer, and then I'll probably come back and move into some little bit deeper topics, because we had questions on a lot of stuff: how to cut the ball, how to play the wind better, how to chip, how to do everything. We'll dive into that next. So look forward to other videos. Thanks for watching.